For many photographers, the Fujifilm X-T5 is the retro king in the camera world. So, let's find out. Hi, it's Cheng here from RED35. At time of making this video, Fujifilm has announced the brand new X100VI, a camera that fits very well with the whole retro camera things that I've been craving of late. However, X100 series has been, and always will be, a camera with compromises, mainly because of the fixed lens. The now discontinued X Pro 3 will be on my radar, but it is a camera that I will revisit at some point in the near future, not now. And what I want to focus on is a camera that you can actually buy in 2024. Fuji has been known for exploiting our nostalgia by giving us somewhat retro-style camera since the original X100 and the X-T1. And those lovely film color presets for their JPEG images that resemble those famous film stocks in the past. The combination of these has slowly but surely created a cult following that would swear by anything Fuji does. And I'm not opposing it. And in fact, I praise Fujifilm for its effort in cultivating and growing this following carefully. And I wish that more companies would be like Fuji. Anyway, the X-T5 is the latest APS-C flagship camera that will give you almost everything you want in a camera. As I'm led to review this camera, I'll be focusing on my user experience with sample photos rather than feature listing and direct comparison. But spoiler alert, I like the X-T5. But watch on and see why. The build quality of the X-T5? Well, extremely good. Feels like a tank. The magnesium shell feels solid and can certainly inspire confidence when it comes to durability. It is also fully weather sealed, but there is no rating on it. But I can only assume that it will be as good as any pro bodies in the camera world. The dials have very robust click stops and the buttons feel decisive and accurate, not spongy. Certainly something that I appreciate when using it in the field. The only thing that I perhaps need more time to adjust to is the joystick. The travel for each click is very shallow and not as responsive nor accurate as I would like. I almost need to push it really hard every single time when I change AF point. The design, however, really is where X-T is known for. Now that I've used a few modern retro-style cameras, the X-T5 may be leading the pack in terms of sheer amount of physical controls on the camera. And you can literally start shooting with the X-T without having to refer to the menu or diving into the system option. ISO, shutter speed, exposure compensation are all visible, with the Format 2 have push lock to prevent accidental changes. Integrated on-off switch and the threaded shutter release is a nice touch. And the overall design layout is very logical without feeling clutter. The front and rear dials are there if you want or need to use them. And there are a couple of custom buttons on the front and a drive mode on the bottom right to finish off all the physical controls on the body. So all in all, this is a very hands-on camera, which I really like. The look of the camera is subjective, but so is handling. I don't have big hands, but I'm a little surprised when I use the X-T5, as I find that the hand grip is a little too shallow for my hand. It is very grippy and very well contoured for my fingers, but somehow my small hands actually feel extra large on the X-T5. Another 5mm on either the front grip or the back thumb rest would definitely make a huge difference. Yet I can understand why Fujifilm did this, because it is a retro-style looking camera at the end of the day. So think of the Nikon ZF and the ZF-C for instance. There is always a compromise. And because of this, I found that using any larger or heavy lenses could present a problem. Or anyone who has wrist injury, or RSI. Yeah, my shooting hand currently suffers some wrist injury, And I find stretching my index finger for that front dial or the shutter button is a bit of a pain for me, quite literally. And perhaps I will have a different feeling when my wrist finally heals. But other than that, I didn't feel the camera is heavy nor light, just right. When paired with the 3314, yeah, it feels great and a joy to use. The X-T5 is the highest resolution camera I've used to date, with 40 megapixel. I don't need it, but it's nice to have or experience it. The last time I've tried Fujifilm camera was the X Pro 2 a few years back, when X-Trans sensor maxing out at 24 megapixel. But to me, that is still the sweet spot for my photographic work. Having such high resolution means that you need the right lens to get the most of it. While I haven't used all Fujifilm lenses, but from what I've heard, not all current lenses have that resolving power for this resolution. Therefore, I won't be commenting on the detailed resolution of this sensor. But when it comes to colors, well, it is very interesting. I can confirm that Fuji's film simulation works in most cases, and certainly gives me the look that I remember using some of my favorite Fujifilm Pro Nex and Positives. RAW, however, is a different story. I guess it depends on what RAW editor you use. Personally, I find that Adobe Lightroom isn't the best for X-Trans files. Colors is rich, if not a little magenta bias. Luminous noise is on display from ISO 800 and becomes more prominent from 1600. But the destructive color noise won't be a problem until at least 3200. Dynamic range is great considering this is a high-resolution APS-C sensor. You can retrieve quite a bit of highlight and shadow if needs be. However, any shadow recovery will see more noise. But having said that, my limitation lies with the Adobe Lightroom, and it may not reflect the best use case with the X-Trans files. And I have been told that Capture One renders these files much better with lower noise and better details. So if you know any other RAW editors that is good for the X-Trans files, please let me know in the comment section below. If X-T5 JPEG is what I can base my analysis on, I would say that the image quality of X-T5 is very good and impressive. And all I need is to find the perfect post-editing software for the X-Trans files. EVF is decent with 3.69 million dots, in line with most similarly priced models. IBIS is rated at 7 stops, which is enough for most stills application, but I wouldn't bank on it with longer telephotography or slow shutter wide-angle shots. Video stabilization is very similar to stills, but what I can say is that the X-T5 IBIS isn't suited for sudden movement. If you try to photograph from a bumpy bus or simply by walking and talking on the London street, you will definitely see those jerky, shaking movement in the footage. So this may not be the best case. However, I will say that the IBIS on the X-T5 is more than sufficient for most people. I'm just being a little bit picky here. There are two technical aspects of X-T5 when it comes to speed. First is autofocus. It is very quick and accurate. It locks onto subject quietly and nicely in most AF modes. I do find that the face and eye detection isn't as reliable as I would like to see. And perhaps I'm still adjusting myself to X-T5's behavior, but something I immediately noticed when I started shooting portraits for my clients. Continuous AF is also proven to be pretty reliable with quite a high hit rate. But again, only if I use single AF points or groups. Face and eye detect somehow acts differently, and I'm not certain why. It's not all that bad, I just need to work around this phenomenon by choosing when to engage face and eye detect or group AF. Overall, autofocus is fast and very reliable. Second is how long you can shoot in burst mode. In other words, buffer size. While the X-T5 has some respectable numbers in continuous burst shooting, in real use, you'll find that the camera hits the limit pretty quickly. The lack of CF Express card means that it takes a while to clear the buffer also. I guess this is what separates the X-T5 and Fuji's own speed demon, the XX2, which can hold on to that speed quite a bit longer. In short, X-T5 is perfect for everyday photographers, fine art photographers, and photographers who don't need high-speed burst shooting. X-T5 certainly adds a bit of interesting touches to videos, namely the color film profiles that baked into the video files if you choose to use them. If not, and prefer to create your own color palette, you can choose to use the F-Log or the F-Log 2. And X-T5 also supports HLG if you wonder. Coupled with the resolution up to 6.2K at 30p and 4K up to 60p, you can get some serious video done, if not at professional levels. But one thing I noticed is the rolling shutter. It is pretty obvious and restricted my use in anything but fast panning or action sequences. The lack of headphone jack is also a little bit of a surprise to me too, and the use of mini HDMI further confirms that this X-T5 isn't designed to be a serious camera for hybrid photographers or amateur videographers. The X-T5 is interesting. It may lack the charm that I recall from my experience with the X Pro sibling, but the direct controls allows me to shoot straight away without much of a learning curve. And this is always a plus to me. There are a lot to like about the X-T5, despite a few quirks that I mentioned in this video. It's definitely one of the best retro styling cameras on the market, and 100% the best APS-C still focused retro style camera period. Remember though, being retro means that there are always some compromises that must be realized and accepted before you dive into Fuji's X-T5. The handling may not be for every photographer, especially those who use big heavy lenses, shoots a lot or for a long period of time at any given chances. The shadow buffer also means that it's limiting genre of photography that you may want to try, and video is adequate for casual video clips to remember, but not something that you would like to make a full-blown videos. And yes, it is not exclusive to X-T5, but all retro-style camera that I've come to use over the past year. If you can accept what the X-T5 offers, which is a lot for the camera that costs less than the even more limited new X100VI, it is the retro king for the APS-C format. So that's it folks, I've enjoyed the X-T5, and let me know in the comment section below your thoughts and experience, if any, about the X-T5 or any Fujifilm cameras, and I would love to hear from you. I guess until Fujifilm's X-T6 comes, the X-T5's throne is very secure. And thanks for watching. You know what to do now. Thumb if you like this video and sub if you want to follow my journey into retro style cameras, lenses and photography. Peace. Welcome to my bonus section. Yes, I really enjoy my experience with the X-T5, and I find that this is definitely a shooter's camera with all the, physical control and things like that. Very still focused, definitely a little bit like the OM1 is really tailoring or targeting stills photographers more than hybrid or videographers, because the video function is very limited, very, very similar to what OM1 has, and but in terms of still capabilities, yeah, it's very up there to the best. All I can say is that it's very personal, of course, the handling, things like that. Like I said, the grip, I find it just to be a little bit on the small side for my hands. But this is retro style camera, don't forget that. So X-T5 is no difference to ZF, ZFC, and the OM5, which are all retro styling cameras. In fact, if you look at the Pen F, the Pen series of OM system, Olympus, and also look at their own sibling, the X Pro, for instance, they all have virtually no grips. So yeah, you can kind of imagine that. So it's not great for big, heavy lenses. And I don't think the X-T5 has the speed either for anything that will allow you to do, let's say, birding or action photography with long tele lenses or zoom lenses, because it doesn't have the buffer size to do it. That's kind of, continuous tracking and shooting. So yeah, while the AF is capable, but I just don't think that it has that internal speed to allow you to do that kind of photography. But general day-to-day stuff, portrait, yeah, perfectly fine. The 40 megapixel sensor is certainly great, but like I said in the video, I just don't have access to all the lenses and only have the 56-1.2, 23-1.4 and the 33-1.4 here with me. Just been testing these for my portrait work. So far, so good. But one thing that shocked me a little bit was the 40 megapixel size is quite a bit bigger than obviously any 20 or 24 megapixels that I'm used to. And so when I come to post-processing, it does take a little bit more time to do it. Not dramatically different because I got a fairly powerful computer there, but I can imagine if I got an older computer, you will definitely see that difference there. And also my final note is that personally, I can't really make the most out of the X-Tron file simply because I don't think Adobe is really good for that. And because I'm starting to see noise from ISO 800, which is a little bit of a shock to me because even Micro Four Thirds doesn't do that. And so, which is, yeah, I don't think it's actually the sensor or the camera. I think it's this Adobe, because from what I've heard, from what I've seen other reviewers doing, you know, they get much cleaner files than I do, and I think none of them use the Adobe Lightroom or Camera Raw. They use Capture One or any other softwares, which I have to probably spend a little bit more time to investigate a little bit more. But if you do know any other options, please do let me know in the comment section below. And finally, I would like to thank Fujifilm UK for lending me the kit to test, because I find it really extremely interesting for the whole retro thing that I've been doing for this year. And you can see that in my channel now, I've done the ZF and the ZFC reviews already, and I already have the OM5. Yeah, all this retro thing that I really get kind of, you know, kind of my personal passion in a way, on top of my journal photography jobs and stuff like that. But yeah, this is something I want to explore this year with you guys, not only with camera bodies but also lenses, new lenses, old lenses, vintage lenses, anything that can help me create that old school look is the best. And so this is what I'm doing this particular year here. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I'm not going to waste you more time, but the X-T5 is definitely something to think about if you think about, you know, £1,500 thereabout budget-wise, and there are a lot of options around about that end there. You got the X-T5 for, you know, this sort of thing, but if you want speed, and I think the OM1 will probably have a slightly faster speed. If you want better depth of field in a way, then you may have to stretch up a little bit to get the ZF for the full frame. But in terms of APS-C format, this one beats the X Pro 3. It beats Nikon ZFC. You know, just there's no contest there. There's nothing. So this is the king. This is the king in the APS-C format for sure. Yeah, this is it. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and remember to give me a like and sub and follow me on my social media account, as I will be posting more photos and also other announcements for the channel and things like that. Anyway, until next time, I will speak to you all very soon. Bye for now.